I think it probably takes financial independence, takes a little more maturity, a little more experience, those sort of things. You know, Dallas is really a big, big city.
In other words, the eventual slate of candidates will not influence you?
No, not at all.
Will you support Wes Wise?
I don't know who I'm going to support for mayor. I can tell you at this point that I'm not going to support Avery Mays.
Mr. Hernandez, when you say that you will not support candidates picked by, quote, the establishment, unquote, does this mean that you don't feel you can work within the establishment?
Oh, no, I can work within the establishment. I'm on the triracial committee. I'm on the Urban League board. I've done a lot of things with the quote, the establishment. What I'm saying is that I don't think that the brown community, the Mexican American, we're not going to stand for somebody hand-picking somebody 2 years ago to run against what we consider to be, or at least certainly what I consider to be, a competent, qualified candidate, and then turn around 2 years later and say, now we're going to dump somebody, or even consider those thoughts. I mean, if she's good enough, and she 2 years ago, she's good enough now.
Well, so far we've registered about 198,000 people. It's been a little slow in January for what we usually have. January is usually our heaviest month.
Do you have any reasons for this?
Well, I don't know if part of the reason might be that some of the people were confused about the deadline, whether or not it was going to be extended. However, the deadline is still January 31st for this year.
This federal court ruling does not affect this year's registration date. You still have to register only once this year, right?
Well, as far as it stands now, the legislature has to act before it's changed, and it doesn't look like they're going to make any changes right away.
I must say this award took me by surprise. When they called me up, I was pretty proud of myself. I thought I'd done something pretty good, you know. I'm still writing, and this guy calls me up and says, well, you've been nominated for the Bonehead Award. I'm like, Bonehead? I didn't quite understand what it was, but it's really an honor to be here. Now, I want to say it's fun to come to an organization where people can get together just to have fun. Well, it's something that's strange, and it's very warming. I'm just glad to be here. I want to say that the Bonehead Club did pull a bonehead. I think some of you have heard about our sports writers and sportscasters in New Orleans. They're very new to professional football, and they believe everything they hear. And their release came out that I won the Bonehead Award. The next morning in the papers, headlines, Dempsey cost Saints #1.
Well, I think it's going to be a fine ball game. It's our first conference game at home, and of course Baylor's probably the hottest shooting ball club in the conference now. They have about 5 guys shooting over 50%, and I think we'll give them a real good battle. Of course, they're in there 2-0 in the conference, and we're 0-1, and we've got to win the game to stay in the conference race.
That'll be close to a sellout here at Moody. How many points is that worth to you, do you feel?
Well, I think it ought to be worth at least 8 to 10 points with a big SMU crowd, and Dave Kaywood said it is almost a sellout now because people are still calling for tickets, and there's not any real good seats left. So we think that a big crowd should help us.
Have all of the ways of stopping Gene Phillips been devised yet, or do you think you might see any fresh ones tomorrow night?
Well, I think most, since I've been in SMU, I've seen about every defense that can be used against Gene, and I don't know of any other defense you could use as you use 6 men on the floor. They'll double team him and team him, and he does a good job of kicking the ball off to our other boys and giving them points.
How about our defense? Who will we have to stop in order to defeat Baylor?
Well, of course, we'll have to stop William Chapman. He's a 6'5", and he's a fine scorer, great shooter, great leaper. He gets the ball out on the break and lets the Baylor team run.
I always look forward to a game against Baylor. We should have beat them twice last year, I feel. And, well, we did beat them once. Should have beat them down there. It would have been a big help to us. And I like to get back, play anytime I can.
proud to present to Lieutenant Carr this award for
I met some people in Congress, such as the Senate Internal Security Subcommittee, who in their reports came up with, back several years ago, the fact that there are 30 Soviet espionage rings operating within the U.S. federal government. Now, because of that, I don't consider at this stage in history anything other than the FBI to be shall we say, a very trustworthy organization, all right? So my solution is this. Let us not bother with these poverty program financing of revolutionaries. Let us not have the poverty program financing revolutionaries. Let us kick the poverty program out of the government, and let us make the government conservative once again. That means make the government limit its power.
Misdemeanor charges were filed against owners of the movie houses, projectionists, and managers. Convictions for distributing obscene material carries a maximum fine of $1,000 and a 6-month jail term. Plainclothes officers Jesse Alvey and C.K. Taylor, with arrest warrants in hand, visited Studio 5 on Main Street and Sunny 16 on East 4th, only to find them closed. However, the manager of the ESP Club on Cullum Street was arrested by the officers. 13 of the 15 have been arrested or voluntarily went to police headquarters. 2 others have said they will come in with their lawyers. Films were not seized in the charges, but printed materials displayed at the movie houses were when officers purchased the magazines and pictures. Investigation of the skin-flicked houses began 6 months ago, according to Sergeant D.W. Bransom. Bransom added he believes this is a right step in curbing distribution of the materials. The misdemeanor charges will not force the movie houses to close here, but I'm told a Tarrant County grand jury probe is expected shortly. A repeat charge of distributing obscene materials advances a misdemeanor charge to a felony with a maximum sentence of 5 years in prison and up to a $25,000 fine. One of the owners charged and released to his lawyer said he is making $250,000 a year and that he expects his business to double next week. Jim Green, Channel 8 News on the Move, Fort Worth.
What effect, if any, are moves to crack down on law and order having on trial lawyers?
I think that it's become more difficult to get acquittals in the courtroom, probably because many people have the idea that law and order means arrest and conviction. It seems to me that there's kind of a vigilante spirit abroad that pervades the jury and makes it very difficult to get acquittals in criminal cases. I don't think people really understand what the presumption of innocence means.
Jay, what are you trying to do with National Beta?
Well, we are trying to make people leaders. Our motto is just what it says, let us lead by serving others, and we try to bridge the generation gap.
Where is your place in society now?
Well, we're young people looking for something to do. We want to do something for the world. We want to make it a better place to live in.
Does National Beta work within the establishment, or is it your desire to maybe change it a bit?
Definitely within the establishment, but we do want to change it for the better.
Mr. Harris, you organized National Beta in 1934. Did you ever dream it would come this far?
Well, no, it's certainly quite a surprise, and a very pleasant surprise that it has grown to the size it has at present. Starting from nothing in 1934, it's a membership of about 140,000 at present, with chapters in 24 states, some 3,600 chapters in 24 states.
I love children. They're about the sweetest thing. It's about the only thing in the world we got to live for. That's what we put in our daily life for. And we've got a lot of responsibility is to try to leave the world better than we found it for the children as they grow up, don't you?
You have no generation gap, do you?
I hope there's no generation gap. No, sir, I love them from the cradle plumb to the old folks when they get up about my age.
Colonel Sanders, did your chicken make you a wealthy man?
Well, fairly. After I started franchising. See, I started franchising when I was 66 years old. Now, that's an advantage again. Don't quit because you're 65, because you can do something quite worthwhile after that. So I sold out after 7.5 years of this franchise business. I sold out for $2 million. Not a lot of money. I see in the paper yesterday the same company that I sold for $2 million sold for $240 million yesterday.
You feel you got left out?
Oh, I'm left out. That's right. I don't want nobody writing me for any money because I didn't get any of that. But with $2 million, that's enough to keep an old person in the family.
Old person, my foot. How old are you?
Well, I'll be 81 my next birthday now.
I suspect you're coming up with something new.
Well, I hope to be doing something because I don't believe in ever stopping because you'll rust out blame sight quicker than you'll wear out. And there's always something to be done.
Admiral, what does the Boating Safety Bill before Congress include?
The Boating Safety Bill before Congress provides for three things. One, it allows for the Coast Guard to establish minimum safety standards for the construction of boats and accessory equipment. In other words, a consumer protection bill. Secondly, it provides for uniformity among all the states in how they enforce the law. And thirdly, it has a grant and aid program for the states to assist them in more law enforcement and always more education.
What are its chances for passage?
Well, we think they're very good. It already passed the House last December. It'll have to be passed again. But the Senate is holding hearings on it very soon.
When you speak of standards of construction, are there shortcomings in some of the manufacturing procedures?
Yes, and one of the big problems, largest problems we have is that over 85% of our casualties has 1,350 killed each year, which is second to automobile casualties, is due to capsizing and swamping. If we could provide a standard which would keep the fellow who stands on the gun of the boat and keep the boat from going over, we would be way ahead of the game.
Well, I'll be in the scouting department helping Mr. Gil Brandt, and I'll be in public relations and community relationships, helping out the Cowboys, getting them to know the community better, and anything else that I'm most needed for. But I'll still be a player for a couple more years, hopefully.
You don't plan to retire then at the end of the season?
No, not next year. I don't know exactly how long I'll be able to play, but I'm playing it 1 year at a time.
How about after you do retire? What's your job going to be then?
Well, I don't actually know. I'll get a chance to find out at best what I'm suited for, but I'll hope to stay in the management part of it.
Well, fishing hole, and that's what we have here at the 1971 boat show at the Market Hall. Listen, how are you doing?
Fine.
How many have you caught?
7.
7? I understand you were last year's winner.
Right.
Who's out in front?
I don't know.
Do you go fishing often?
No, sir.
Do you like to fish?
Yes, sir.
Tell me about it.
Well, it's fun, and only the part I don't, well, I like it all.
You take your own fish off the hook?
No.
You get someone else to do that?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Lisa. Over here we have David Roberts. David, how many have you caught?
2.
What do you think about fishing?
I like it a lot.
Do you get to go very often?
Oh, not that often. During summer, I usually make it about 2 or 3 times.
Who do you go with?
Oh, sometimes my uncle. Sometimes I go out on the lake with my dad.
So you get to go fairly often?
Yeah, now and then.
Is fishing relaxing to you?
Yeah.
Give you a chance to think?
Usually, yeah.
David, thank you very much. Okay. These are just 2 of the 20 young people out here, like I say, enjoying a day at the fishing hole, and here's another one. This is the prize, folks. There's something symbolic about this. I don't know. This is Jim Mitchell, Channel 8 News, and this poor fish ain't moving anymore. What are you looking for at the auction?
Just looking. Just having fun.
Have you bought anything yet?
Not a thing.
How much cash would you anticipate spending here today?
Well, I hadn't thought about that. It depends on what they've got.
All right, thank you very much. Hi, can I talk to you? Would you step over here for a moment, sir? What is your name?
Jim Miller.
Mr. Miller, what are you looking for?
Just anything I can buy cheap.
Have you bought anything yet?
I haven't yet. Everything's too high.
How much money are you prepared to spend?
Oh, around $100.
Very good. Thank you very much. What does a young man like you look for at something like this?
Oh, not much. I just like to come to watch them sell because I work for an auctioneer, and sometimes I buy stuff, sometimes I don't. I like to watch.
Are you prepared to spend money?
Maybe if there's something good that comes up.
How much would you go?
You never can. This is what maybe it goes for. I don't know.
Well, thank you very much. What is your name, sir?
Jess Bowden.
Just what have you bought today?
Oh, I bought a whole bunch of stuff. Guns, pistols, and I don't know what, a whole bunch of stuff.
How much money did you spend?
Oh, I guess a couple hundred.
You figure you got bargains?
I think so.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Everybody comes to the police auction looking for a bargain. There are bargains to be had, but we find an awful lot of just lookers. This is Jim Mitchell, Channel 8 News on the Move.
reported $12 million deficit and 37 projects not yet completed in the Crossroads Bond Program. What are we going to do?
Pursuing the program on a course that would assume that it will be completed, but retaining the option to curtail it if that becomes necessary. We expect to do work on each of the items in the program, do the design work, the acquisition of right-of-way, the relocation of utilities, and the construction to the extent that we have financing available. We're going to do all of it that we can, and we're going to charge the course that will provide the financing and keep the program going. Otherwise, we're looking at curtailing and within, say, 12 months, the halting of street improvement activity in Dallas, and I think that's inconsistent with the needs and the desires of the community.
What do you say to the man in the street that says, when is this particular stretch of roadway going to be fixed?
We're still on a time schedule of pursuing the program without interruption. We have most of these projects now scheduled where we can give him a very good estimate of when it can be started, when it can be completed, and the presumption is that financing will be arranged to accommodate that.
Of course, the $900,000 would have required a fare increase anyhow. But we have had to accelerate our request for a fare increase because of the economic slowdown. And perhaps the fare increase will be a little more than it would otherwise have been by reason of this also.
What is a little more?
Well, the philosophy of the Dallas Public Transit Board and the Dallas City Council has been to increase transit fares the minimum amount that is necessary when put together with the economies of operation that we have put into effect and will put into effect.
I would, if I had to pick out one thing, I would probably say that it was the complete overhaul of the policy manual under which this school system operates, and the setting of major goals which this school system should try to reach. It was rather unusual. We discovered that this school system never did have any goals. We didn't know where we were going. At least it wasn't spelled out in writing, and our school board has spelled out in writing the 6 major goals of the school system. We have completely revised the policy manual to bring practice into conformity with policy and vice versa. I'd like to add a close second to that, however, would be the adoption of a professional communication agreement with the teachers, the Fort Worth Classroom Teachers Association.
It seems that a black man with enough money to live in a large apartment complex won't have any problems, but that it's the smaller ones that are causing the large percentage. Is this correct?
Right. I would, this is my opinion, that the principle of discrimination would be found in the complex that is owned and operated by the small operator. But certainly this would not be true in the large operator of apartments.
Well, Jerry, I feel that we are turning out many teachers. Probably not more teachers than we really need. For a long while, we said that we need more teachers. Now we have an abundant supply of teachers, and many good teachers cannot find jobs today. Now we're saying that, well, we don't have space for them.